Hello, welcome to another video. It is evening. I never film in the evening, and I'm also filming from a different angle today. So my inspiration for this video was the phrase, "One short life, millions of books. What's a girl to do?" I wrote a little reflection in my notebook the other day that I'm going to read to you because I feel like a lot of people can relate to some of these thoughts that I had. So I recognize that I am 23 years old. I may have 70 more years of life before me, but I may not. None of us knows how many years, months, weeks, or days we have been given. I live in, through, and around books. Book reading is one of the definitive measures or most important aspects of my existence. It propels my growth, it occupies my time, it shapes and defines me, it helps me to make sense of the world, it enables me to form deeper relationships, it gives me joy, hope, and peace. God speaks to me through literature, as does my race, the human race. And I, as best I can, try to listen and live my life accordingly, and I also try to say something in response. So, I don't want to waste a single day or a single book. I want to read as much as possible in my short little life, but where does one even begin? How does one decide what to read? The question that has been on my mind is, how can I be intentional about my future reading? I don't want to just consume for quantity's sake, but knowing how many books there are to read and how short the time is does sort of make this a temptation to read widely and to read as many books as possible. I want to read the books that I am able to read in the rest of my life slowly and thoughtfully, taking time to reflect, let my thoughts ripen so I can experience growth and application from these books. I want to know and understand each book in depth, to remain familiar and intimate with each book forever. But how can I read widely and in large amounts while also extracting the marrow from each book and giving it space and time to change me and to influence me? How can one do justice to each page one's eyes will rove without staying on that page forever? We've got an overwhelming selection of books at our fingertips, and each great book has something to say to us. So how do we give them all a chance to speak while listening carefully, not just hearing briefly and moving on, but really listening? So I have begun to come up with a plan to make the most out of my life's reading. Here are the components of my plan. Step 1. Accept that I cannot read every great book in my lifetime. Step 2. Accept that I will have to pick and choose which great books to read at the exclusion of others. Step 3. Be okay with pausing briefly with some books and lingering with others, depending on how they speak to me and how well I am able to listen in those circumstances. Number 4. Attempt to embody the classical principle festina lente, make haste slowly. Number 5. Make a plan and set intentional goals. And here is my plan. I am working right now on compiling my ultimate world reading list or world literature reading list. I am compiling lists of ancient literature from all of the ancient civilizations. I will do the same for medieval literature and then getting into Reformation, Renaissance, early modern, modern, and postmodern literature. I am compiling lists upon lists and trying to do my research as well as I can. And from there, I will slowly begin to cross books off my list. And I will consult these lists in terms of picking which books I want to read, which great books, which great classics. Yeah, that is in the works, and I will share more about that later on in this video and how I'm doing that. And then the 6th component to my plan is to allow myself to return to the books that say something that I need to hear again and again. Even if that means that I'll read one less new book in my lifetime, I want to find comfort in my soul books, the books that speak to my soul. And I suppose as a 7th point, I could say that if I just come across a book unintentionally, I bump into it on the street and it captures me, I will read that book, even if it's not on my great world's literature list. But I think this world literature list is really going to help me track my progress throughout my lifetime in reading some of the world's best literature. So yeah, that is all for this fireside talk. But fun things will continue in this video, so stay with me. Hey everybody, it's my first afternoon off for the March break. Technically, it's Friday. Next week is the March break. This morning we had a staff PD session learning some more classical principles for teaching, and that was really great. Yesterday I took my grade 9 and 10 students on a field trip to Toronto. There was a special exhibit at the Royal Ontario Museum on the Holocaust, and so we went and we learned about the Holocaust, and that was very sobering, but yeah, a very good and educational experience overall. We took the train in and out of Toronto, so that was really fun. And yeah, I feel like I need to just breathe a deep sigh of relief. I'm really looking forward to this break, and the sun is out. I think next week is going to be warm and sunny, which we haven't had warm and sunny days here in Ontario for so long. So it feels like spring is in the air, which is exciting and motivating. Next week, I am going on a writing retreat by myself. I've booked myself a really beautiful loft, and I'm just gonna go for 2 nights, 3 days by myself and work on my novel, the novel project that I've been thinking about and trying to find time to write now for several months. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's been cool because I've been telling people about this writing retreat and kind of opening up about what I'm working on and the fact that I write novels in my spare time when I can find spare time, and it feels really good to share and be open about that. I feel like for so long I don't know, I felt embarrassed, not embarrassed, but like insecure about my writing, where I wouldn't even tell like my parents growing up if I was writing on something big. I had a big project that was taking up tons of my brain space and tons of my time, and I just wouldn't tell anybody. And I don't know fully why that is, but yeah, I think because it can be hard to explain your ideas, to break down a project to other people when it is what it is in your own mind, and it can be challenging to try to translate that. I think that was a big part of it, and also just the sense that, oh, nobody's really going to understand. Nobody's really going to care or be interested. That's definitely been my experience with writing. There's basically no one in my life that I know who writes to the same degree that I do, who writes novels, who has ambitions to be a novelist and to write for life and to publish things. I often feel very alone, and so I think that's also held me back from sharing what I do and what I work on with people. But now that I work at a classical school, I find that a lot of my colleagues and students can relate and sympathize or empathize. And so that's been really cool to be able to talk about it more openly and have people be genuinely interested and share their own experiences and all that kind of thing. So that's just one way that I've been blessed this week, and I just wanted to share that. Yeah, I find it sad, even here on YouTube, whenever I post a video about my writing or my novels, those videos do very poorly compared to other videos like vlogs or book talk videos, and it's hard not to take that personally. Like, what am I even doing this for if nobody cares and nobody wants to read what I write? But for those of you who are writers and who do understand and who do reach out to me about these kinds of things and encourage me and share your own experiences, thank you so much. I feel less alone when you comment on my videos and show your appreciation and interest in my writing. That means a lot, so thank you for that. So, what did you say is illegal in France, Zach?
It's actually illegal to name your pig Napoleon in France.
Why?
I guess because it's disrespectful to Napoleon.
That's crazy. Good morning, it's Saturday. I'm going to spend a few hours this morning before I meet a friend for coffee working on my literature lists. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I have spreadsheets on the go and I'm going to be consulting. I'm pretty sure Harvard has like an ultimate like liberal arts reading list, and I think maybe Princeton does too, and some of these Ivy League universities publish their own lists of great books that they think every student who wants a good liberal arts education should read. So I'm going to do some investigating into those because so far I've just kind of been consulting sort of random sources to help me start my lists and start compiling book titles. I'd like to do some better research, and so that's what I'm going to do for a couple hours. So the first list I'm working on is my ancient history list because obviously you need to start at the beginning. So to compile the list, I am looking at a few Harvard PhD program reading lists. Let me show you. Classics, history reading list for PhD candidates in ancient history. Got Greek literature and Latin literature. Then I'm also looking at their Byzantine reading list, their archaeology reading list, their philology reading list, and finally their philosophy reading list. These lists definitely aren't exhaustive, so there are a lot of gaps I still need to fill in, but they at least give me an understanding of what the most important ancient classics are for someone studying them at a higher level, which I obviously am not. I'm going to be reading them in my spare time as part of my lifelong liberal arts education. But yeah, this is a good place to start, but these lists are not gonna get me all the way through because they're missing a lot of titles. I'm also consulting this MA in Liberal Arts reading list from St. John's College. It's got a number of texts in philosophy and theology, politics and society, mathematics and natural science, and literature, and history. And then I found this website, and it's not the most professional looking, so I've been wondering how reliable it is, but it literally has a list of ancient literature with the approximate dates that they were written, all in chronological order, which I find very helpful. And so I'm also consulting this list, and I might have to fact check the dates later on. And then this is my spreadsheet as I'm starting to put it together. Literature of the ancient world, and then divided into different civilizations. And so far I've got mostly Greek and Roman literature going on here, but I do hope to make a lengthy list for each of these other civilizations before I move on to literature of the medieval world. So my idea is that once I finish compiling my ultimate ancient history reading list, then I will share that with you guys in terms of I'll probably do a more thorough breakdown of my categories and then of all the titles that I've put in my categories. But this is going to take me a long time. I've already spent a few hours on it and barely made any headway, it seems. And I'm realizing also that I can compile these lists and there's just no way that I will ever read all of the books on the list. So again, I will have to pick and choose that which I think is most important, most interesting, most relevant. Yeah, there's no way in my lifetime that I'll ever be able to strike through and check all of these books off my reading list, but it's still cool to have them in one place and to organize them chronologically with the goal of reading at least some of them to get a better understanding of ancient history. So yeah. Okay, I know not everyone is going to be interested in this, but I really struggle to find teacher-appropriate pants. Pants that go with my turtlenecks, my blazers, my jackets. I have a lot of like good academic style tops, but it can be hard to find pants that match. And of course, I'm not allowed to wear denim to work. So I went ahead and ordered some nice new pants. One is a barrel leg pant in this kind of reddy taupey color. And I just realized my other pant is missing from this order. I just wanted to show you guys this book, The Library, A Fragile History by Andrew Pettigrew and Arthur Derwoodowin. It is a history of libraries from the earliest ancient libraries, such as the one by the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, to modern libraries. The reason I got this book was because the novel that I'm currently writing has to do with libraries and the history of libraries and book collections and exclusive book collections and all these themes, and so I figured I should do my research and have a comprehensive understanding of the history of the library before I write this book and kind of include my own fictional library in this history. So yeah. This book looks beautiful. It looks super readable. Chapter 1, A Confusion of Scrolls. Oh my goodness. And this is about the city of Alexandria, which is a setting in my novel. Perfect. Amazing. Leiden's University Library. I honestly think that this might be the book of the year for me. This looks fantastic. The history of the library is rich, varied, and stuffed full of incident. In The Library, historians Andrew Pettigrew and Arthur Derwoodowin introduce us to the antiquarians and philanthropists who shape the world's great collections, trace the rise and fall of literary tastes, and reveal the high crimes and misdemeanors committed in pursuit of rare manuscripts. In doing so, they reveal that while collections themselves are fragile, often falling into ruin within a few decades, the idea of the library has been remarkably resilient as each generation makes and remakes the institution anew.